Hello, hope you're feeling okay. So, this is a practice that is definitely not for anybody with any back issues. So, as with all the practices, we do need to remind ourselves to take responsibility for our own body, work with what we've got at the moment. This is a core strengthening sequence, just two or three movements to help with that. But we do need to have done maybe some more basic core strengthening if we have back issues. If this at all bothers your back, stop, let me know, and I'll introduce some more poses for that. I have got some other ideas up my sleeve for strengthening, but a lot of people say, what can I do about my belly? Um, so these are some movements for that. So they're all floor based, so I'm just going to adjust the camera slightly, I think. Okay, and we can use a wall for this one. Some of these is that we can use a wall for, so it could be quite handy. So I'll prepare my wall. I've got to move my meditation chart out of the way. So we're starting off, the first one is kneeling. So the knees are at hip distance apart, coming straight down from the ball and socket joints. So not really wide, not quite together. So just stepping apart. And we begin with the knees directly under the hips, ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. So basically we begin in Tadasana, mountain pose, except we're on our knees. So for me, it's preferable to have the tops of the feet on the floor. There's nothing to stop you placing a pad under your knees, just a folded towel will be good. My teachers, and I find this myself, say to tuck your toes. If you tuck your toes under, you're putting a lot more pressure on your knees. And as I do that, I can feel a big difference. When I look up in the books, a lot of schools suggest that the feet should be turned under. So play around with what feels good. Again, working with what's right for your body, doing what feels right. This way, we would be stretching out the plantar fascia, so it would be beneficial for that. But I don't like the pressure on the knees. For me, that is too much. So we're working on the core. The core muscles really start mid-thigh area, pelvic floor, lower tummy, buttocks, lower back, and kind of like a big corset coming all the way around from the centre of your back to meet in the middle of your belly button. So we want to activate all of that. So we have the thing that we're just lifting the thigh muscles, tucking the tailbone under ever so slightly. So it's like a pelvic tilt that you would do lying on your back. And then we keep the pelvic tilt on. So we're pushing the pelvis slightly forward. So by that, I don't mean pushing the hips beyond your knees. I mean just lengthening the tailbone. Imagine the pubic bone coming up to look at your chin. It's that kind of a move. And as you do that, so it's a subtle movement. You feel your back lengthening and you feel that gentle lift and tightening through the lower part of your abdomen. And automatically, as you're doing that, if you've done it right, you'll feel your pelvic floor lifting. Okay, so well done if you feel all of that. And then let's let it relax, because let's face it, that is effortful in itself. So if you wanted to, and I would suggest, particularly if you are, quite weak in the core, just to practice that 2 or 3 times, maybe do it a couple of times a day, and within a week you'll feel a difference. When we want to go a little bit further, we're going to involve the arms. So we'll have all of this switched on, so that gentle pelvic tilt forward, strengthening through the thighs, tummy strong, buttocks are lifting, little lift or Uddiyana Bandha active. And then the hands are reaching forward, so we're straightening the arms out. Arms are parallel to one another and parallel to the floor, so not going high above the shoulders or anything. And the shoulders are not hunching up round the ears, they're dropping down towards the waist. We'll work with the breath, so take a nice deep breath in, keeping the breath nice and steady. As we breathe out, with all of that active, just start to swing back slightly. So try not to let your bottom drop down. keep that lift on, and as we breathe in slowly, come back to neutral. As we breathe out, slowly come back. So it strengthens the thighs, and as you come back, you'll feel that lift in the belly. And breathe in, straighten up. Breathe out, flow back. Breathe in, straighten up. Breathe out, flow back. We're going to keep the shoulders relaxed. Breathe in, straighten up. And if you feel up to it this time, as we breathe out, we'll hold it here and we'll breathe. And then when you feel you've had enough, just gently come back. Then we can release the effort there. Take a rest. You might just need to rub your thighs. And then you could repeat. Good to repeat it once, twice, maybe 3 times. And as I mentioned earlier, do it a couple of times a day. Will be good. Okay. So we're going to think about then coming into the boat pose. So it's nice if you've got something under your bottom, but nothing too bad. So I think most of you know I've got that bit of a problem at the base of my spine from falling off a hoverboard board over a year ago. So you don't want a massive, big, anything too thick, but or even as big as a cushion, but just a folded pad, because we need to be able to feel our sit bones. So we're going to come and face the wall. I'd like us all to come to a wall. And just come so that you can sit on your pad and feel your sit bones on the floor. And then we're going to bring our soles to rest on the wall. So very similar movement. Your feet are again hip distance apart. Your knees and your heels are about level, so we've got the legs straight up the wall or too low down the wall. Heels are about level with your knees. And we're sitting up nice and tall. We feel our connection to the sitting bones. And we might just stay there. You could bring your hands under your knee crease and push your feet into the wall. So you're going to push the wall over, but don't knock the wall, the house down. Push your feet into the wall. You'll feel as you do that, your pelvic floor lifts. And Uddiyana Bandha happens. You feel your lower tummy tighten up. So again, for building your strength, work with this. Obviously for pregnant ladies, you're not going to do any of these movements, obviously. Push your feet to the floor. To the wall, sorry. If you feel you're ready to go a little further, again, we'll sweep the arms forward so they're parallel to the floor. Your shoulder blades drop away. Your tummy is tight and we'll just gently ease back. So you're keeping your tummy lifted, you're pushing your feet into that wall. And you'll probably find you can hold that for quite a long time. Breathing nice and easy. And when we want to come up, bring the hands back under the knees so we can ease ourselves back to sitting and place the feet one by one back on the floor. So we're coming out just as safely as we entered. So you can feel your tummy working from that, can't you? I can feel that. We can, if we are a little bit weak, bring your pads just off the wall. Find your sit bones. And bring your shoulders onto the wall behind you. So there's a space between your sitting bones and your shoulders. But we don't want to round the back. So we bring the shoulders onto the wall. Tummy is engaged. We can bring the feet up one by one. Bring the hands under the knee crease. Press the heels away so you're pushing an invisible wall again. And your heels are about level with your knees. So it's a little bit stronger than having your feet against the wall. But you've still got that little bit of support. So if you find when you come into the full pose, you're feeling it in your neck, that tells us that the tummy muscles are still weak. So this would be a nice way to practice that, because you can't strain your neck in this position. We need to know, we know that we're safe if the breathing is nice and relaxed. So as soon as the breathing starts to get too much, it's time to come out. So we place one foot on the floor and the other foot on the floor. Use your strength in your arms and your tummy to ease you back to sitting, because your muscles of your back are going to be under work there, under some effort there. Okay, so those are two ways. Even if you've done the boat pose many, many times in the past, I would suggest practicing those, because it's going to feel quite different. Okay, but they're definitely nice ways to build up your strength to come into the variations on the full boat pose. Okay, so again, sit bones nicely firmly connected to your supports. Little lift through the tummy, ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, shoulders relaxed. And we'll just bring the heels off the floor to find our balance. So in this, we have leaned back slightly, but we haven't got too much space between the thighs and the belly. So we're not coming all the way back. Just take my arm out the way so you can see. And we're not rounding the back. So we're lifting, we're nice and tall, and we're working the tummy muscles. And then we gradually bring the heels up. So the knees remain bent, the heels are in line with the knees as we press the feet away, as though we're taking the feet onto that invisible wall. So you've got the same action, that you're really active. Then when we get comfy with that, we can take the arms away. Again, just build up the number of breaths. So you might just start with 2 breaths and gradually move to 5. And then when you've done enough, bring your knees in, give yourself a hug, because your tummy muscles will be saying, hey, I know they're working. But tummy muscles are really good because they're very forgiving. So as soon as you give yourself a nice hug and you take the weight off the effort off your belly, it will relax. And then you'll feel it tomorrow. Then you'll feel great because you know you've done something worthwhile. Okay, so we can take that a little bit further once you feel comfortable. So you might be a few weeks still needing to hold the back of your knees. That's okay. Once taking the arms away feels okay, we can bring the hands behind the head. And the shoulders stay back, elbows stay back. So this really works with strengthening through the hips as well, through the legs. We'll deepen the breath. So watching the breath. And then when you want to come out while you've still got enough breath to come with control, rather than we fall out of it, strain the back because the muscles in the belly have run out of strength. Okay, so don't push yourself to the next level till you feel good with it. When you do, same principles. Sit bones are on the floor. We found our balance points. We found that we're supporting the spine with our tummy. We bring the feet back up. And then we can straighten the legs. Push the heels away. You can bring the feet together, or you can bring a block between the thighs. So not between the knees, that would encourage you to go knock kneed, but between the thighs. And boy, oh boy, you know you're working then. That really is strong. Work that way. Or you can take hold of the big toes. Find your balance. And straighten the legs. Keep the shoulders relaxed. You feel more stable in this one, so this one is more of a stretch than a strength, so it's good to do both. Different ways to practice similar pose, different results. Always focusing on the breath. Saving enough breath to glide smoothly out of the posture. And then we always need a counter movement. And with this one, Just want to make sure there's been no strain on the back. So we come down into semi-supine. Knees bent, feet on the floor, back of the head on the floor. Keeping that spaciousness in the back of the neck. So a little bit of a tucking in of the chin. So you're kind of making yourself double chinned. And just letting the lower back drop to the floor. And if you find that your back is still arching, we've probably done a little bit of work, too much work on the back rather than the belly, we can iron that out just coming into a very subtle pelvic tilts. Letting the lower back glide back down to the floor. And then we can bring one knee in over the chest, wrap your hands around your shin, stretch out that side of the back. And actually bending the knee and bringing it in relaxes the tummy muscles that have just done all that work for you. And we'll swap feet. Bring the right foot down, bring the left knee in. Squeeze your thigh into your belly. And then if it feels right and your lower back is still on the floor, bring both knees in. Lovely hug. And of course have your hands behind your knees if that feels more comfy. And maybe just taking a little rock side to side. Or you could keep the feet on the floor and take a little rock side to side as well. And just stay there. You could maybe spend some time in relaxation, then just pondering on how you feel. Make sure you turn to your side. Use your arm strength before you bring yourself to sitting. Okay, well done. So enjoy your practice. Go on to do something else if you wish. If you're putting the boat pose into a sequence that you're making up, I would put the boat pose towards the end. So not right at the end when you've maybe lost your strength, but towards the end when everything else has been really fired up, so your muscles are active before you go into it. Okay, so enjoy. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.